My name is Dorotha Sulliston Hawthorne. I am 70 years old today. 70 years of living, loving, losing, and learning. I should be celebrating. I should be surrounded by family, blowing out candles, receiving kisses and well wishes. Instead, I am sitting alone in my bedroom, my heart shattered into a million pieces, replaying the conversation I was never meant to hear. Let me tell you about my 70th birthday. The day my own children whispered a plan behind my back. The day I discovered that the family I had sacrificed everything for was planning to throw me away like garbage. It started as a beautiful morning. The sun was shining through my bedroom window. Birds were singing in the garden. I woke up feeling blessed, grateful for another year of life. My 3 children had come to visit for the weekend. Reginald, my oldest, had flown in from Atlanta with his wife Monica. Bernadette, my middle child, had driven down from Philadelphia with her husband Jerome. And Franklin, my youngest, my baby boy, had arrived from Chicago with his girlfriend Summon. The house was full of life for the first time in years. Since my husband Clarence passed away 3 years ago, this big old house had been too quiet, too empty. Having my children here, hearing their laughter and their voices, made me feel alive again. They had been planning something. I could tell. Whispered conversations that stopped when I entered the room. Shared glances and secret smiles. I assumed it was a surprise party. A special celebration for my milestone birthday. I was so naive. That afternoon, I went upstairs to take a nap before dinner. My children were in the kitchen, supposedly preparing my birthday meal. I smiled as I climbed the stairs, feeling loved and cherished. But I could not sleep. After 20 minutes of tossing and turning, I decided to go back downstairs and offer to help with dinner. I was halfway down the staircase when I heard them. Their voices drifted up from the kitchen, clear and unmistakable. They thought I was asleep. They thought they were safe to speak freely. They were wrong. "We have to do something about Mama," Reginald was saying. "She cannot stay in this house alone anymore." "I agree," Bernadette replied. "She is getting old. What if she falls? What if something happens to her?" I paused on the stairs, my hand gripping the banister. They were worried about me. That was sweet. But then Franklin spoke, and his words turned my blood to ice. "The house is worth at least $800,000, maybe more in this market. If we sell it now, we can split the money 3 ways." Sell my house, the home Clarence and I had built together. The home where I had raised my children, celebrated holidays, created a lifetime of memories. "But Mama will never agree to sell," Bernadette said. "She loves this house. She will fight us every step of the way." "That is why we do not give her a choice," Monica, Reginald's wife, chimed in. Her voice was cold, calculating. "We get her declared mentally incompetent. We take power of attorney, and then we do what needs to be done." My knees went weak. I grabbed the banister tutta to keep from falling. Mentally incompetent, power of attorney. They were talking about taking away my freedom, my home, my life. "Is that even legal?" Franklin asked. "It is if we have a doctor on our side," Monica replied. "I have a cousin who is a psychiatrist. For the right price, he will sign whatever papers we need." "This feels wrong," Bernadette said, but her voice lacked conviction. "Mama has done so much for us. She sacrificed everything to raise us." "And now it is time for her to sacrifice a little more," Reginald said. "Look, I love Mama, but she is sitting on almost $1 million in real estate while I am struggling to pay my mortgage, while Bernadette is drowning in debt, while Franklin cannot even afford to buy a ring for someone. So we just take it from her." Franklin sounded uncertain. "We are not taking anything. We are managing her assets, protecting her from herself. She is old. She does not need this big house. She will be happier in a nursing home where professionals can look after her." A nursing home. They were going to put me in a nursing home and sell my house. I pressed my hand against my mouth to keep from crying out. "What about her savings?" Monica asked. "The investments Daddy left her." "We take control of those too," Reginald said. "Power of attorney gives us access to everything. Bank accounts, investments, the whole estate." How much are we talking about? Jerome, Bernadette's husband, asked. His voice was eager, greedy. Daddy left her at least $500,000 in various accounts, plus the house, plus the car, plus the jewelry and antiques. Altogether, we are looking at close to $1.5 million. $1.5 million. That was the sum total of my life with Clarence, our savings, our investments, our dreams for the future. And my children wanted to steal it all. When do we do this? Franklin asked. Today, at dinner. We tell her we are concerned about her health. We suggest she see a doctor. We start planting the seeds. And if she refuses? Then we move to Plan B. We file the paperwork anyway. We have her declared incompetent without her cooperation. It is harder, but it can be done. I had heard enough. I crept back up the stairs, my heart pounding, my vision blurred with tears. I reached my bedroom and closed the door as quietly as I could. Then I collapsed on the bed and wept. Now, before I tell you more, I need to ask you something. Are you with me? Are you feeling the shock and betrayal that I felt in that moment? If you are, I need you to do something for me right now. I need you to subscribe to this channel. Press that subscribe button. It is free, and it shows me that you want more stories like this. Stories about family betrayal and unexpected twists. Stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Also, press the like button. That thumbs up helps more people find this channel. It helps me reach others who need to hear this story. And do not forget the notification bell. That little bell icon is so important. When you turn it on, you will get a message every time I post a new story. You will never miss anything. One more thing. Drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from. Are you from Alabama, Minnesota, Virginia? Maybe you are watching from Jamaica or Canada or South Africa or somewhere else around the world. I want to know who is here with me. I want to build a family of strong people who support each other. Now let me take you back to the beginning. Let me tell you about my family, about the sacrifices I made, and about the warning signs I should have seen but never did. I married Clarence Hawthorne in 1975. I was 25 years old, fresh out of nursing school, ready to start my life. Clarence was 30, a carpenter with strong hands and a gentle heart. He built houses for a living, but what he really built was our life together. We bought this house the year we got married. It was a fixer-upper back then, a rambling Victorian that needed love and attention. Clarence spent years renovating it, room by room, until it became the beautiful home it is today. Reginald was born in 1978. Bernadette came along in 1981. And Franklin, our surprise baby, arrived in 1985. Those were hard years, beautiful but hard. Clarence worked long hours to support us. I worked night shifts at the hospital while raising 3 children during the day. We never had much money, but we had each other. We had love. I sacrificed so much for my children. I gave up promotions at work so I could be home when they needed me. I spent my savings on their education, their activities, their dreams. I put their needs ahead of my own every single time. And when they grew up and left home, I felt proud. Proud that I had raised 3 successful adults. Proud that I had given them the foundation they needed to build their own lives. Reginald became a financial advisor in Atlanta. Bernadette became a real estate agent in Philadelphia. Franklin became a marketing executive in Chicago. They all had good jobs, nice homes, comfortable lives. Or so I thought. Looking back now, I can see the signs I missed. Reginald's phone calls became shorter and less frequent. When we did talk, he always seemed stressed, distracted. He would mention money problems in passing, then change the subject. Bernadette stopped visiting as often. She made excuses, work was busy, the drive was long, the kids had activities. But I sensed something else, a distance, a pulling away. And Franklin, my baby, the one I had always been closest to, he started asking for loans. Small amounts at first, a few hundred here, 1,000 there. He always promised to pay me back. He never did. I told myself it was normal. Children grew up and got busy. Life got in the way. It did not mean they loved me any less. I was wrong. Clarence died 3 years ago. A heart attack, sudden and swift. One moment he was trimming the roses in the garden, the next he was gone. I was devastated. 44 years of marriage ended in the blink of an eye. I did not know how to live without him. I did not know who I was anymore. My children came for the funeral. They stayed for a week, helping me sort through Clarence's things, handling the legal matters, making sure I was okay. But after they left, things changed. Reginald started calling more often, but his calls were different. He wanted to know about the estate, about Clarence's life insurance, about my finances. "Just making sure you are taken care of, Mama," he would say. Bernadette started dropping hints about the house. "It is so big for just one person. Do you not get lonely rattling around in there?" And Franklin asked for more loans, bigger amounts, with increasing urgency. "I just need a little help, Mama, just until I get back on my feet." I gave them what they wanted. I answered Reginald's questions. I brushed off Bernadette's concerns. I wrote checks for Franklin. Because that is what mothers do. We give, we sacrifice, we put our children's needs ahead of our own. But I never imagined they would repay my love with betrayal. After overhearing their conversation, I lay on my bed for a long time. The shock gradually gave way to something else, something harder, colder. Anger. My children thought I was old, weak, easy to manipulate. They thought they could scheme behind my back, steal my home, take my savings, dump me in a nursing home like unwanted furniture. They were wrong. I was 70 years old, yes, but I was not senile. I was not helpless. I was not going to roll over and let my own children destroy me. I needed a plan. I needed to protect myself, and I needed to do it quickly before they could put their scheme into action. I picked up my phone and called the one person I knew I could trust. My sister, Magnolia. Magnolia was 5 years younger than me, but she had always been the tough one, the fighter. While I was gentle and accommodating, Magnolia was fierce and protective. She had been a lawyer for 40 years before retiring last year. She answered on the second ring. "Happy birthday, Dorothea. I was just about to call you." "Magnolia, I need your help." My voice cracked. "Something terrible is happening." "What is it? What is wrong?" I told her everything. The conversation I had overheard. The plan to have me declared incompetent. The scheme to steal my home and my savings. Magnolia listened in silence. When I finished, her voice was cold with fury. "Those ungrateful children. After everything you did for them, after all your sacrifices." "What do I do, Magnolia? They are going to try to take everything from me." "Not if I have anything to say about it. Listen to me, Dorothea. You need to act fast. Before dinner tonight, I want you to do exactly what I tell you." "Anything. Tell me what to do." "First, I want you to call your bank and put a freeze on all your accounts. No one can access them without your direct authorization." "Okay." "Second, I want you to find all your important documents, the deed to the house, your will, your investment statements, and hide them somewhere your children cannot find them. There is a safe in Clarence's office. They do not know the combination." "Perfect. Put everything in there." "What else?" "Third, I want you to call my friend Patricia Chen. She is an elder law attorney. She can help you put protections in place so your children cannot have you declared incompetent." "Will she answer on a Sunday?" "For me, she will. I will text you her number." Okay, I can do all that. But Magnolia, what about tonight? They are planning to start their scheme at dinner." Magnolia was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, I could hear the smile in her voice. "Let them think they are winning. Play along. Act like you do not suspect anything. And when the time is right, we spring our trap." "What trap?" "I am coming over there, Dorothea. I am getting in my car right now. I will be there by dinner time." "But Magnolia, it is a 3-hour drive." "Then I will drive fast. No one messes with my sister. No one." I spent the next 2 hours following Magnolia's instructions. I called my bank and put a freeze on my accounts. The customer service representative was confused but cooperative. I gathered all my important documents from Clarence's filing cabinet: the deed to the house, our marriage certificate, my will, investment statements, insurance policies, and locked them in the safe in his office. And I called Patricia Chen, who listened to my situation with calm professionalism and promised to meet with me first thing Monday morning. "In the meantime," she said, "do not sign anything your children put in front of you. No matter what they say, no matter how they pressure you, do not sign a single document." "I understand." "And Mrs. Hawthorne, what your children are planning is called elder abuse. It is a serious crime. If they go through with this, they could face prosecution." Elder abuse. The words hit me like a punch to the stomach. My own children, the Bobbies I had nursed and raised and loved, they were planning to commit elder abuse against me. How had it come to this? Where had I gone wrong? At 6 o'clock, I went downstairs for dinner. My children were in the dining room, putting the finishing touches on a beautiful spread: roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, a chocolate cake with "Happy 70th birthday, Mama," written in pink frosting. It looked like a celebration. It felt like a trap. "Mama," Bernadette rushed over and kissed my cheek. "Did you have a nice nap?" "Lovely, thank you." "Come sit down. We made all your favorites." I took my seat at the head of the table, the place I had occupied for 45 years. My children and their partners arranged themselves around me, all smiles and warmth. If I had not heard their conversation, I would have believed they loved me. Maybe they did love me, in their own twisted way. Maybe they had convinced themselves that what they were doing was for my own good. Or maybe they were just greedy, impatient, ready to cash in on their inheritance while I was still alive. "Before we eat," Reginald said, standing up with his wine glass, "I want to make a toast to Mama, 70 years young, the strongest, most generous woman I have ever known." Everyone raised their glasses. Everyone smiled. I smiled too, but inside I was seething. "Thank you, baby," I said sweetly. "That means so much to me." Dinner was pleasant on the surface. We talked about memories, about the children's jobs and lives, about plans for the future. And then, just as we were finishing dessert, Reginald cleared his throat. "Mama, there is something we wanted to talk to you about." Here it comes, I thought, the first move in their chess game. "Of course, baby. What is it?" "We have been worried about you, living here alone in this big house. We think it might be time to consider some changes." "Changes? What kind of changes?" "Maybe moving somewhere smaller, somewhere with people who can look after you, where you would not be so isolated." I looked around the table. Bernadette was nodding earnestly. Franklin was studying his plate. Monica had a small, satisfied smile on her face. They thought they were being subtle. They thought I had no idea what they were really saying. "You want me to move to a nursing home," I said calmly. Reginald looked startled. "Not a nursing home exactly, more like an assisted living facility, somewhere nice, somewhere comfortable." "And what would happen to this house?" "Well, we would have to sell it, of course. You cannot maintain a property like this from an assisted living facility." "I see." I set down my fork and looked at each of my children in turn. Reginald, the mastermind. Bernadette, the reluctant accomplice. Franklin, too weak to stand up for what was right. "And tell me," I said, my voice still calm, "who would manage the sale of my house? Who would control the money?" "We would take care of everything, Mama," Bernadette said quickly. "You would not have to worry about a thing." "How convenient." Something in my tone made them pause. I could see the uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Before they could respond, the doorbell rang. "Who could that be?" Monica frowned. I stood up, a smile spreading across my face. "That would be my sister, Magnolia. I invited her to join us for cake." The color drained from Reginald's face. "Aunt Magnolia, but she lives 3 hours away." "Yes, she does." She must really love me to drive all that way on such short notice. I walked to the front door and opened it. Magnolia stood on the porch, her silver hair gleaming in the porch light, her eyes sharp and fierce. She was carrying a briefcase and wearing the same expression she used to wear in court, the one that made opposing lawyers tremble. "Happy birthday, sister," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I hope I am not too late to stop your children from stealing everything you own." Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The silence that followed Magnolia's words was deafening. My children sat frozen at the dining table, their faces a mixture of shock and fear. Reginald's wine glass trembled in his hand. Bernadette had gone pale. Franklin looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Only Monica maintained her composure, her eyes narrowing as she assessed this unexpected threat. "Aunt Magnolia," Reginald said, recovering first. "What a surprise, we were not expecting you." "I imagine you were not." Magnolia swept into the house like a queen entering her court. "You were probably hopping to have your mother all to yourselves this weekend. Easier to manipulate an old woman when there are no witnesses." "I do not know what you are talking about," Bernadette said weakly. "Do you not? Then let me refresh your memory." Magnolia set her briefcase on the dining table, right in the middle of the birthday cake. "Dorothea called me this afternoon. She told me about the conversation she overheard. The one where you planned to have her declared mentally incompetent, steal her house, drain her accounts, and dump her in a nursing home." "That is not what," Reginald started. "Do not," Magnolia's voice cracked like a whip. "Do not lie to me, boy. I have been a lawyer for 40 years. I can smell deception from a mile away, and right now this room reeks of it." She turned to look at each of my children in turn. "Reginald, I remember when you were born. I remember holding you in my arms, promising your mother I would always look out for her children. Is this how you repay her love? By scheming to steal her home?" Reginald could not meet her eyes. "Bernadette, your mother worked double shifts for years so you could go to college. She sacrificed her own dreams so you could pursue yours. And this is your gratitude." Bernadette started to cry. "And Franklin," Magnolia's voice softened slightly. "The baby of the family, your mother's favorite, though she would never admit it. How much has she given you over the years? How many loans that you never paid back? And still, you would conspire against her." Franklin hung his head in shame. "We were not going to hurt her," he mumbled. "We just wanted to help." "Help? You call this help?" Magnolia laughed bitterly. "Let me tell you what you were planning, Franklin. You were planning elder abuse, financial exploitation, fraud. Do you know what the penalties are for those crimes in this state?" "Crimes?" Monica stood up, her face flushed with anger. "This is family business. We were just discussing options for Mama Dorothea's care. Options that conveniently involve taking control of all her assets. Options that require a corrupt psychiatrist to sign false documents. Options that would leave my sister penniless and imprisoned in an institution she does not need." "She is old," Monica shot back. "She cannot take care of herself. Someone needs to make decisions for her." "That someone will not be you." Magnolia opened her briefcase and pulled out a stack of documents. "Tomorrow morning, Dorothea will be meeting with an elder law attorney. She will be putting protections in place to ensure that no one, not her children, not their greedy spouses, can take advantage of her." "You cannot do that," Reginald said. "We are her children, we have rights." "You have no rights to her property. You have no rights to her money. You have no rights to make decisions about her life without her consent." Magnolia slapped the documents on the table. "And if you try to pursue this scheme, I will personally make sure you are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law." The room fell silent again. I watched my children, searching for some sign of remorse, some indication that they understood how deeply they had hurt me. Reginald looked angry, resentful, like a child whose hand had been caught in the cookie jar. Bernadette was crying harder now, her face buried in her hands. Franklin just looked lost, confused, like he did not know how things had gotten so out of control. And Monica was calculating. I could see her mind working, searching for a way to salvage the situation, to still get what she wanted. "This is ridiculous," she said finally. "We came here to celebrate Mama Dorothea's birthday, to show her how much we love her, and now we are being accused of elder abuse. It is insulting." "Then prove me wrong," I said, speaking for the first time since Magnolia arrived. "Prove that you were not planning to steal from me." "Mama, I heard you, Reginald. I heard every word. You talked about the house being worth $800,000. You talked about splitting the money 3 ways. You talked about getting a corrupt doctor to sign papers declaring me mentally incompetent." Reginald's face went red. "You were listening. You were spying on us. I was walking down the stairs to help with dinner. You thought I was asleep. You thought you were safe to plot against me." "We were not plotting. We were discussing options. Options that involved taking everything I have. Options that would leave me with nothing. We were going to take care of you, Mama. We were going to make sure you were comfortable. Comfortable in a nursing home I do not need, while you sold my house and spent my money." "It is not like that." "Then what is it like, Reginald? Explain it to me. Explain how stealing from your mother is actually an act of love." He had no answer. The rest of the evening was tense and uncomfortable. Magnolia stayed close to me, a protective presence that my children could not ignore. Monica retreated to the guest room, refusing to participate further. Jerome, Bernadette's husband, had the sense to keep his mouth shut. At 10 o'clock, I announced that I was going to bed. "We should talk more tomorrow," Reginald said. "When everyone has calmed down, I think there has been a misunderstanding." "There is no misunderstanding, Reginald. I heard what I heard. I know what you planned." "Mama, please, let us explain." "You can explain tomorrow. Right now I am tired. It has been a very long day." I went upstairs, Magnolia following close behind. We locked ourselves in my bedroom, leaving my children to stew in their guilt and shame. "Are you all right?" Magnolia asked, sitting beside me on the bed. "No, I am not all right. My children want to throw me away. My Bobbies, who I raised and loved and sacrificed for, they see me as nothing but a source of money." "I know, sister. I know how much this hurts. I keep asking myself where I went wrong, what I did to deserve this. Was I too generous, too trusting? Did I spoil them too much?" "You did nothing wrong. You were a good mother, the best mother. What they did, what they planned to do, that is on them, not you." "But why? Why would they do this?" Magnolia sighed heavily. "Greed, Dorothea, plain and simple. They see your assets and they want them. They do not want to wait until you die naturally. They want the money now. But they have good jobs, good lives. They do not need my money." "Do they?" Reginald mentioned struggling with his mortgage. Bernadette is drowning in debt. Franklin cannot afford a ring for his girlfriend. They are not as successful as they pretend to be. I thought about that, about the signs I had missed, the stress in Reginald's voice, Bernadette's excuses for not visiting, Franklin's constant requests for loans. Had I been blind to my children's struggles? Had I been so focused on my own life that I failed to see theirs falling apart? "Even so," I said, "they could have asked me for help. They could have been honest. Instead, they chose to scheme behind my back. That is the part I cannot forgive. The deception, the manipulation, the willingness to destroy their own mother for money. What do I do, Magnolia? How do I move forward from this?" "First, we protect your assets. Tomorrow, we meet with Patricia Chen and put legal safeguards in place. No one will be able to touch your money or your property without your explicit consent. And my children. That is up to you. You can forgive them if you want. You can try to rebuild the relationship, but you should never trust them with your finances again. What if they challenge me? What if they try to have me declared incompetent anyway?" Magnolia smiled grimly. "Then we fight, and I promise you, Dorothea, they will lose." I did not sleep well that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard their voices, the casual way they discussed stealing from me, the cold calculation in Monica's suggestions, the weakness in Franklin's objections. How had I raised children capable of this? Where had I failed? Around 3 in the morning, I heard footsteps in the hallway. Soft, hesitant. Someone was outside my door. I held my breath, listening. A gentle knock. "Mama, are you awake?" It was Franklin. I looked at Magnolia, who was sleeping in the chair by the window. She stirred but did not wake. Part of me wanted to ignore Franklin, to let him stand there in the darkness, alone with his guilt. But he was still my son, my baby. Despite everything, I could not turn him away completely. I got out of bed and opened the door. Franklin stood in the hallway, his face drawn and pale. He had been crying. His eyes were red and swollen. "Can we talk?" he whispered. "Please, Mama, I need to explain." I hesitated, then stepped into the hallway, closing the door quietly behind me. "Talk?" "Not here. Can we go downstairs? I do not want to wake anyone." Against my better judgment, I followed him down to the kitchen. He turned on the light over the stove, casting the room in a soft, dim glow. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table. The same table where I had served thousands of meals, where I had helped with homework and bandaged skinned knees and celebrated birthdays and holidays. The same table where, just hours ago, my children had plotted to destroy me. "I am so sorry, Mama," Franklin said, his voice breaking. "I never wanted any of this." "Then why did you go along with it?" "I was desperate. I'm in trouble, Mama, real trouble." "What kind of trouble?" Franklin took a shaky breath. "I lost my job 3 months ago. I have not told anyone. I have been pretending to go to work every day, but there is no work. I sit in coffee shops and send out resumes that no one answers." "Oh, Franklin." "My savings are gone. I have maxed out my credit cards. I am 3 months behind on my rent. If I do not come up with money soon, I will be evicted." "Why did you not tell me? I would have helped you." "I was ashamed. You always told me I was special, that I was going to do great things. I could not bear to admit that I failed." "Everyone fails sometimes, baby. That is not something to be ashamed of." "But you always had such high expectations. You sacrificed so much for us. I did not want to let you down. So instead, you conspired to steal from me." Franklin flinched. "It was Reginald's idea. He called me a few weeks ago, said he had a plan to solve all our problems. I did not know what he was planning until I got here." "And when you found out, when you heard what Monica was suggesting, you did not object." I know I should have. But I was so scared, Mama, so desperate. I was not thinking clearly." I looked at my youngest son, this man who had once been a bright-eyed boy full of dreams. Now he was broken, frightened, reduced to conspiring against his own mother. "Franklin, I love you. I have always loved you. But what you were part of today, I cannot just forget that." "I know, I am not asking you to forget. I am just asking you to understand. And maybe to give me a chance to make it right." "How?" "Let me help you. Let me prove that I am not the person I was today. Let me show you that I can be better." "Help me how?" Franklin leaned forward, his eyes intense. "Reginald and Monica are not going to give up, Mama. They are angry, humiliated. People like Monica, they do not take defeat well. They will find another way to get what they want." "What are you saying?" "I am saying you need to be careful. I am saying there is more going on than you know." "More? What do you mean?" Franklin glanced toward the stairs, making sure we were alone. "Monica has been pushing this plan for months. She is the one who found the psychiatrist. She is the one who researched how to get power of attorney. Reginald thinks it was his idea, but it was all Monica." "Why? What does Monica want?" "Money, status, control. She comes from nothing, Mama. She grew up poor. She married Reginald because she thought he would make her rich, but Reginald has made some bad investments. They are almost as broke as I am. So Monica sees my estate as the solution to their problems." "Yes, and she is not going to let a little thing like Aunt Magnolia stop her." "What can she do? Magnolia is putting legal protections in place." "I do not know, but Monica is smart, ruthless. She always has a backup plan." I felt a chill run down my spine. "Franklin, If you know something specific, you need to tell me. I do not know anything specific. I just know Monica, and I know she is not done. We sat in silence for a moment. The kitchen clock ticked. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, the first hints of dawn were beginning to lighten the sky. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Why switch sides? Because you are my mother. Because I was wrong. Because I do not want to be the kind of person who hurts the people he loves. And what about Reginald? Bernadette, will you go against your own siblings? Franklin's face hardened with unexpected resolve. They were willing to go against you. They were willing to throw you away for money. If that is who they are, then maybe they are not the siblings I thought I knew. I went back to bed as the sun was rising, my mind churning with everything Franklin had told me. Monica was the driving force behind the scheme. Monica had a backup plan. Monica was not going to give up. What was she planning? What other tricks did she have up her sleeve? I fell into a fitful sleep, haunted by dreams of being locked in a nursing home, screaming for help while my children counted money outside my window. When I woke, it was nearly 10 o'clock. Magnolia was already up, dressed, and on the phone with Patricia Chen. She had taken over my living room, spreading documents across the coffee table, making notes on a legal pad. Good, you are awake, she said when she saw me. Patricia can meet us at noon. She is clearing her schedule. On a Sunday. She understands the urgency. I glanced toward the kitchen, where I could hear voices. Where are my children? Reginald and Monica left early this morning, said they had to get back to Atlanta. They left without saying goodbye. They said goodbye to Bernadette. I do not think they wanted to face you, or me. Good riddance, I thought, but another part of me grieved. My oldest son, fleeing like a coward instead of facing what he had done. What about Bernadette and Franklin? Still here, Bernadette has been crying all morning. Franklin has been very quiet. I think they both regret what happened. Franklin came to talk to me last night. He told me about Monica, about how she is the one driving all of this. Magnolia raised an eyebrow. Did he now, and do you believe him? I do not know what to believe anymore, but his warning felt genuine. He said Monica has a backup plan, that she is not going to give up. Interesting, we should keep an eye on her. Magnolia made a note on her pad. In the meantime, let us focus on what we can control. Patricia will help us put protections in place. No one will be able to touch your assets without your consent. And my children, what do I do about them? Magnolia looked at me with compassion. That is something only you can decide, Dorothea. But whatever you decide, make sure you are protecting yourself first. At 11:30, as we were preparing to leave for our meeting with Patricia, my phone rang. The caller ID showed Reginald's number. Should I answer it? I asked Magnolia. That is up to you. I stared at the phone for a moment, then pressed the answer button. Hello? Mama, Reginald's voice was strained, urgent. We need to talk. I think we said everything that needed to be said last night. No, Mama, there is something else, something important. I am listening. Not over the phone. It is not safe. Not safe? What are you talking about? Monica does not know I am calling. She thinks I am on her side. But Mama, I found something about Monica, something that changes everything. What did you find? I cannot tell you over the phone, but Mama, you need to know Monica is not who she says she is. Her whole life is a lie, and what she is planning for you, it is worse than you think, much worse. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, my heart pounding. Monica was not who she said she was. Her whole life was a lie. What had Reginald discovered, and why was he suddenly turning against his own wife? Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I stood in my living room, staring at the phone in my hand. Reginald's words echoed in my mind. Monica is not who she says she is. Her whole life is a lie. What she is planning for you is worse than you think. What did that mean? What had Reginald discovered about his own wife? And more importantly, why was he suddenly turning against her? What did he say? Magnolia asked, watching my face. He said Monica is hiding something, that her whole life is a lie. He wants to meet. He says it is not safe to talk on the phone. Not safe? That sounds dramatic. He sounded scared, Magnolia, genuinely scared. Or he is setting a trap. This could be another manipulation, another scheme. I know, but what if it is not? What if Reginald really has discovered something important? Magnolia frowned, considering. We should still meet with Patricia first. Get the legal protections in place. Whatever Reginald has to say can wait until you are secure. Agreed. But even as I said the word, my mind was racing. Monica, the woman who had pushed hardest for the scheme to steal from me, the woman who had a corrupt psychiatrist cousin willing to sign false documents, the woman Franklin had described as smart and ruthless. Who was she really, and what was she planning? Our meeting with Patricia Chen was productive. She was a sharp woman in her 50s, with gray-streaked hair and keen eyes that missed nothing. She listened carefully as I explained the situation, asking pointed questions and taking detailed notes. What your children were planning is textbook elder financial abuse, she said when I finished. The good news is we caught it before they could act. The bad news is, without concrete evidence of their intent, prosecution would be difficult. I do not want to prosecute my own children, I said. I just want to protect myself. Then we focus on prevention. First, I am going to help you set up a revocable living trust. All your assets, the house, the investments, the bank accounts, will be transferred into this trust. You remain in complete control, but no one can access them without your explicit authorization. What about power of attorney? They were talking about having me declared incompetent. We will address that too. You will designate someone you trust as your agent for financial and healthcare decisions. If you ever do become incapacitated, and I am not saying you will, this person will make decisions on your behalf, not your children. Who should I designate? That is up to you, but I would recommend someone outside your immediate family, someone who has no financial interest in your estate. I looked at Magnolia. Would you do it? Of course, sister, I would be honored. Then it is settled. Magnolia will be my agent. Patricia nodded. Good. We will also put safeguards in place to prevent anyone from challenging your competency. I will arrange for an independent psychiatric evaluation, a legitimate one, that documents your mental fitness. If anyone tries to claim you are incompetent, we will have expert testimony proving otherwise. How soon can all of this be done? The trust documents can be ready by tomorrow. The psychiatric evaluation will take a few days to arrange, but by the end of the week, you will be fully protected. For the first time since overhearing my children's conversation, I felt a spark of hope. Thank you, Patricia. I cannot tell you how much this means to me. You are welcome, Mrs. Hawthorne. No one deserves to be taken advantage of by their own family. We returned home in the early afternoon. Bernadette and Franklin were waiting in the living room, looking nervous and guilty. Jerome had taken the car and gone somewhere, probably to escape the tension. Mama, can we talk? Bernadette asked. Please. I looked at my middle child. She had always been the peacemaker in the family, the one who smoothed over conflicts and kept everyone together. Now she looked like a woman carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. All right, let us talk. We sat in the living room, Bernadette and Franklin on one couch, Magnolia and me on the other. The battle lines were drawn, but at least we were talking. I want you to know how sorry I am, Bernadette began. What we were planning, it was wrong. I knew it was wrong the whole time, but I let myself be talked into it. By Reginald. By Reginald, by Monica, by my own desperation. Bernadette wiped her eyes. The truth is, Mama, Jerome and I are in trouble. His business failed last year. We lost everything. We have been living on credit cards and prayers. Why did you not tell me? Pride, shame. The same reasons Franklin did not tell you about losing his job. We were raised to be successful, Mama, to make you proud. Admitting that we failed felt like the ultimate betrayal. The ultimate betrayal is what you were planning to do to me. Bernadette flinched. I know, and I am so sorry. If I could take it back, I would. I studied my daughter's face, looking for signs of deception, but all I saw was genuine remorse, genuine pain. What about Reginald? I asked. He called me this morning. He said Monica is hiding something, that her whole life is a lie. Bernadette and Franklin exchanged glances. We have suspected something for a while, Franklin said quietly. Monica is strange. She does not talk about her past. She has no family photos, no old friends. It is like she appeared out of nowhere when she married Reginald. Has anyone looked into her background? Reginald said he did before they got married. He said everything checked out. Maybe he did not look hard enough. Bernadette leaned forward. Mama, if Monica is hiding something, we need to find out what. She is the one who started all of this. She is the one who kept pushing, kept planning, kept finding new ways to make it happen. Franklin told me she has a backup plan. Do you know what it is? No, but knowing Monica, it will be something clever, something we do not see coming. I thought about that. Monica was smart, ruthless. If she had a backup plan, we needed to find out what it was before she could execute it. I am going to meet with Reginald, I decided. I need to hear what he has discovered. Is that wise? Magnolia asked. What if it is a trap? Then I will bring backup. I looked at my sister. You will come with me. Of course. And me, Franklin said. I want to help. Me too, Bernadette added. We got you into this mess. The least we can do is help get you out. I looked at my two youngest children. They had conspired against me, yes, but they were also offering to help now, to make amends. Could I trust them? I did not know, but I was willing to give them a chance. All right, we meet with Reginald together, as a family. I called Reginald back that evening. Mama, thank God. I was worried you would not call. I am calling. Now tell me what you found. Not on the phone. We need to meet in person. Fine, where? There is a diner off the highway, about 30 minutes from your house. The Blue Moon Cafe. Meet me there tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I am bringing Magnolia, and Bernadette and Franklin. There was a pause. All right, but do not tell anyone else. And make sure Monica does not know, if she finds out I am talking to you. What will she do? I do not know, but I am starting to realize that I do not really know my wife at all. That night, I lay awake thinking about Monica. I had never liked her. From the moment Reginald introduced her, something felt off. She was too polished, too perfect, too eager to please. But I had brushed aside my concerns. I told myself I was being overprotective, that no woman would ever be good enough for my firstborn son. Now I wondered if my instincts had been right all along. Who was Monica, really? Where had she come from? What was she hiding? And what was her backup plan? The next morning, we drove to the Blue Moon Cafe. It was a small roadside diner, the kind of place truckers and traveling salesmen frequented. Worn vinyl booths, laminated menus, coffee that had been sitting on the burner too long. Reginald was already there when we arrived. He was sitting in a booth in the back corner, his face pale and drawn. He looked like he had not slept in days. Thank you for coming, he said as we slid into the booth across from him. All of you. What did you find? I asked, not wasting time on pleasantries. Reginald took a deep breath. After Aunt Magnolia confronted us, Monica and I had a fight, a big one. She was furious that the plan had fallen apart. She blamed me for not being careful enough. She said, he swallowed hard. She said if I could not deliver what she needed, she would find someone who could. Deliver what? Your money, Mama, your estate. That is all she cares about. That is all she has ever cared about. Tell me something I do not already know. I am getting there. Reginald pulled out his phone. After the fight, Monica locked herself in our hotel room. She left her laptop open on the desk. I should not have looked, but I did. What did you find? Her email, her browser history, files she thought were hidden. He set the phone on the table. Monica's real name is not Monica Hartwell, it is Monique Henderson, and she has done this before. Done what? Targeted wealthy families, married into them, stolen their assets, and then disappeared. The words hit me like a physical blow. She is a con artist. Worse than that, Mama, she is a professional. She has been doing this for at least 15 years. Different names, different cities, different victims. He slid the phone toward me. On the screen was a photograph. A younger Monica, Monique, in a wedding dress, standing next to a gray-haired man at least 30 years her senior. That was her first husband, Gerald Patterson, wealthy businessman from Phoenix. She married him, gained control of his finances, and then he died under mysterious circumstances. She inherited everything. Mysterious circumstances. The official cause of death was a heart attack, but his children suspected foul play. They tried to contest the will, but Monica, Monique, had covered her tracks too well. I felt sick. Are you saying she might have killed him? I am saying there is a pattern. Gerald Patterson in Phoenix, then a man named Harold Whitmore in Denver, then Richard Chambers in Seattle, all wealthy, all elderly or middle-aged, all died within a few years of marrying her. And she inherited from all of them. Millions, Mama, millions of dollars from men who trusted her, loved her, and then died. Magnolia spoke up, her voice sharp. How do we know this is real? How do we know you did not fabricate this to save yourself? I have documents, bank records, news articles, police reports. Reginald's voice cracked. I married a murderer, Aunt Magnolia. I married a woman who kills for money, and I had no idea. He buried his face in his hands. She was going to do it to you, Mama. She was going to take everything you have. And then, I do not know, maybe she was planning to do to you what she did to the others. The table fell silent. I looked at my son, this man I had raised, who had conspired against me, but who was now exposing his own wife's crimes. Why are you telling us this, Reginald? Why turn against her? Because I am scared. Because I realized what she is. Because I do not want to be part of it anymore. Part of what? Were you involved in what she did to those other men? No, I swear, Mama, I had no idea until I found those files. I thought she was just ambitious. Greedy, maybe. I did not know she was a killer. But you were willing to help her steal from me. Reginald looked up, his eyes red with tears. I was desperate, in debt. Monica kept pushing, saying it was the only way out of our problems. I convinced myself it was not really stealing, that you would be taken care of, that it was just rearranging family assets. That is what you told yourself. I know it sounds pathetic. I know there is no excuse. But Mama, please believe me, I did not know what Monica really was, if I had known. You would have what? Refused to help her, protected me. Reginald had no answer. I sat back in the booth, my mind racing. Monica was a con artist, a possible murderer, a woman who had targeted wealthy families for at least 15 years. And she was married to my son. She had been in my home. She had been plotting against me. What do we do now? Bernadette asked, her voice trembling. We go to the police, Magnolia said firmly. We give them everything Reginald found. We let them investigate. But what if Monica finds out? Franklin asked. What if she runs? Then we make sure she does not find out. We keep this quiet until the police are ready to act. There is something else, Reginald said. Something I found in her files. What? A draft email, never sent, addressed to a man named Victor Salazar. Who is Victor Salazar? I do not know, but the email was asking about the job, about the timeline, about taking care of the problem. The problem? Reginald looked at me with haunted eyes. I think she meant you, Mama. I think she was hearing someone to hurt you. The drive home was silent. Each of us was lost in our own thoughts, processing the enormity of what Reginald had revealed. Monica was not just greedy. She was dangerous, potentially deadly. And she had been planning something terrible. We need to act fast, Magnolia said as we pulled into my driveway. If Monica suspects anything, she might accelerate her plans. What do you suggest? First, we secure the evidence. Reginald, copy everything you found onto a flash drive. Emails, documents, photos, all of it. Reginald nodded. Second, we contact the police, but not the local police. We go to the state level, maybe even federal. Con artists who operate across state lines fall under FBI jurisdiction. The FBI, Bernadette looked shocked. Is this really that serious? Multiple suspicious deaths across multiple states. Millions of dollars stolen. Yes, Bernadette, this is that serious. What about Monica? Franklin asked. She is going to notice that Reginald is not with her. She is going to get suspicious. Reginald, can you keep her calm? Keep her thinking everything is normal. I can try, but she is smart, Aunt Magnolia. She picks up on everything. Then we do not have much time. That evening, Reginald copied Monica's files onto a flash drive and brought them to my house. We spread the documents across my dining room table, examining each piece of evidence. The picture that emerged was chilling. Monica Monique Henderson had been running her scheme for at least 15 years. She targeted wealthy widowers or single men, seduced them, married them, and then systematically took control of their finances. Some of her victims died. Heart attacks, accidents, sudden illnesses. The deaths were always attributed to natural causes. No charges were ever filed. But the pattern was unmistakable. Healthy men, suddenly dead, leaving everything to their young wife. How did she get away with it for so long? Bernadette asked. She is careful, Magnolia replied. She changes her name. She moves to different cities. She waits years between victims. By the time anyone suspects anything, she is already gone. But she married Reginald. He is not wealthy. No, but he has access to someone who is. Magnolia looked at me. You, Dorothea, Monica married Reginald to get to you. The realization hit me like a punch to the stomach. She has been planning this for 7 years, ever since she married my son. It appears so. She has been patient, methodical, waiting for the right moment to strike. And my 70th birthday was that moment. Yes, a milestone birthday, a perfect opportunity to express concern about your health, to plant the seeds of doubt. I felt cold, violated. This woman had been in my home, at my table, pretending to be family, and all along she had been plotting to destroy me. What about Victor Salazar? I asked. The man she emailed about the job. I am looking into him, Magnolia said. So far, I have found nothing, but if Monica was hearing someone to hurt you. She did not need to finish the sentence. At 9 o'clock that night, Reginald's phone rang. We all froze. He looked at the screen. His face went pale. It is Monica. Answer it, Magnolia said. Act normal. Reginald answered the call, putting it on speaker so we could all hear. Hey, babe, what is up? Where are you, Reginald? Monica's voice was cold, suspicious. You said you were going for a drive. That was 6 hours ago. I needed some time to think about everything that happened. And where exactly are you thinking? At a bar, having a drink. Which bar? Reginald hesitated. The Blue Moon, off the highway. Interesting, because I drove by the Blue Moon an hour ago. Your car was not there. Reginald's eyes went wide with panic. I must have left before you got there. Do not lie to me, Reginald. Monica's voice turned icy. I know you are at your mother's house. I know you have been talking to her. I know you have been going through my files. The room went silent. What did you tell them, Reginald? What did you show them? Monica, It does not matter. Whatever you found, it will not help them. It is already too late. What do you mean? Monica, what have you done? There was a long pause. Tell your mother happy birthday from me, and tell her to enjoy her last night in that beautiful house. The line went dead. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The moment Monica hung up, the room erupted into chaos. What did she mean by last night? Bernadette cried. What is she planning? We need to call the police, Franklin said, already reaching for his phone. Right now. Everyone calm down, Magnolia commanded, her voice cutting through the panic. Panicking will not help. We need to think clearly. I stood frozen, Monica's words echoing in my mind. Tell your mother to enjoy her last night in that beautiful house. Last night? What did that mean? Was she going to burn down my home? Was she sending someone to hurt us? What had she already set in motion? Reginald, Magnolia said sharply. Think, what could Monica have done? What was she planning? Reginald was pale, his hands shaking. I do not know. I swear I do not know. She was always secretive. She would disappear for hours at a time, never explaining where she went. The email to Victor Salazar, the job, the timeline, taking care of the problem. Could she have hired someone to come here tonight? It is possible. Anything is possible with Monica. Then we need to get out of this house. Now. Wait, I said, finally finding my voice. We cannot just run. This is my home. Everything I have is here. Your life is more valuable than your possessions, Dorothea. If Monica has sent someone, then running will not save us. She knew Reginald was here. She knows where we are. If she wanted to hurt us, she would have people watching. We would be running right into a trap. Magnolia paused, considering. Then what do you suggest? I looked around the room at my family. My children, who had conspired against me but were now standing beside me. My sister, who had dropped everything to protect me. We were all in this together. We stand our ground. We call the police. We tell them everything. And we prepare to defend ourselves if we have to. Mama, this is not a movie, Franklin said. We cannot fight off hired killers. We are not going to fight anyone, but we are not going to run like frightened rabbits either. I walked to the window and looked out into the darkness. Magnolia, call 911. Tell them we have received a credible threat. Reginald, gather all the evidence you copied. Bernadette, Franklin, check all the doors and windows. Make sure everything is locked. For a moment, no one moved. Then Magnolia nodded. You heard your mother. Move. The police arrived within 15 minutes. 2 patrol cars, 4 officers. They took our statements, examined the evidence Reginald had gathered, and called in additional support. By midnight, my house was surrounded by law enforcement. Detective Sarah Mitchell, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s, took charge of the investigation. Based on what you have shown us, Monica Hartwell or Monique Henderson is wanted for questioning in multiple states, she said. We have put out a bulletin. If she tries to leave the area, we will find her. What about Victor Salazar, the man she emailed? We are looking into him. So far, no matches in our databases, but that does not mean he does not exist. He could be using an alias. What should we do in the meantime? Stay here. Stay together. We will have officers stationed outside your house around the clock until we locate Monica and assess the threat level. It was not exactly comforting, but it was something. The hours crawled by. None of us could sleep. We gathered in the living room, drinking coffee, watching the windows, waiting for something to happen. At 3 a.m, Detective Mitchell received a call. I watched her face as she listened, saw her expression shift from neutral to surprised to grim. Understood, she said finally. Send me everything you have. She hung up and turned to us. We found Monica. Where? Reginald asked. At a motel about 20 miles from here. She checked in under a different name, but we matched her credit card. Is she in custody? Not yet. We have officers en route, but there is something else. What? Monica was not alone. There was a man with her. He matches the description of someone we have been looking for in connection with a series of home invasions in the area. Home invasions. My blood ran cold. Victor Salazar. We do not have a confirmed identity yet, but if Monica hired this man to break into your home tonight. She did not need to finish the sentence. The officers are moving in now. I will keep you updated. The next 2 hours were the longest of my life. We sat huddled in the living room, waiting for news. Every car that passed, every shadow that moved made us jump. Finally, at 5:30 in the morning, Detective Mitchell's phone rang again. This time, when she hung up, she was almost smiling. We got them, both of them. The relief that flooded through me was overwhelming. I sank into my chair, tears streaming down my face. Monica is in custody, so is her accomplice, a man named Victor Salazar, real name Vincent Sullivan. He has a long criminal record: assault, armed robbery, breaking and entering. What were they planning? From what we have pieced together, Monica hired Sullivan to break into your home tonight. He was going to subdue everyone inside and force you to sign over power of attorney and other legal documents. And then, Detective Mitchell hesitated. Based on Monica's history, we believe she intended for you to have a fatal accident once the documents were signed. Sullivan would dispose of any witnesses. I felt sick. My daughter-in-law had planned to murder me, to murder my entire family, all for money. What happens now? Magnolia asked. Monica and Sullivan will be charged with conspiracy to commit murder, among other things. Given the evidence of her past crimes, I expect she will be facing charges in multiple states. And Reginald, will he be charged? Detective Mitchell looked at my son, who was sitting with his head in his hands. That depends on the extent of his involvement. From what I have seen, he was not part of the murder plot. He may face charges for the original scheme to defraud his mother, but those will be up to the district attorney. Reginald looked up, his face haggard. I will accept whatever consequences I deserve. I was wrong. I was so wrong. The sun rose over my house, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. I stood on my front porch, watching the light spread across my garden. The crocuses I had planted last fall were blooming. The birds were singing. Life was continuing, despite everything. Magnolia came to stand beside me. How are you feeling, sister? I do not know, relieved, angry, sad, everything at once. That is understandable. You have been through a lot. I almost died, Magnolia. My own daughter-in-law was planning to kill me. But she did not. You survived, you fought back, and now she will face justice. What about my children? How do I move forward with them after this? Magnolia was quiet for a moment. That is something only you can decide. They betrayed you, yes, but they also helped stop Monica in the end. They chose family over greed when it mattered most. Except Reginald, he chose Monica for years. And now he has to live with the consequences of that choice. But Dorothea, he also turned against her. He exposed her. He helped save your life. I thought about that, about the complicated tangle of love and betrayal, guilt and redemption. I do not know if I can forgive them, not yet. You do not have to forgive them today. Forgiveness takes time, but you can start by having a conversation, by telling them how you feel, by giving them a chance to earn back your trust. I nodded slowly. One step at a time. One step at a time. Later that morning, I gathered my children in the living room. Reginald had been questioned by the police and released, pending further investigation. He sat apart from the others, unable to meet my eyes. Bernadette and Franklin sat together on the couch, their faces drawn with exhaustion and guilt. I stood before them, this family that had nearly destroyed me but had also helped save me. I want to say something to all of you, I began, and I want you to listen without interrupting. They nodded. 2 days ago, on my 70th birthday, I heard you whispering a plan behind my back. I heard every word. You talked about selling my house, taking my money, having me declared mentally incompetent so you could control my life. Bernadette started to speak, but I held up my hand. I am not finished. What you planned was a betrayal of everything I taught you, everything I sacrificed for you. I gave you my life, my love, my savings, and you were going to repay me by throwing me away. Tears were streaming down Bernadette's face. Franklin was staring at the floor. Reginald's shoulders were shaking. I was angry. I was heartbroken. I was ready to cut you out of my life forever. I paused, gathering myself. But then something changed. You turned on Monica, you helped expose her. You stood beside me when it mattered most. I looked at each of them in turn. I do not understand why you planned what you planned. I do not understand how my own children could conspire against me, but I am willing to try to understand. I am willing to listen. Mama, Franklin started. I said I am willing to listen. That does not mean I have forgiven you. That does not mean things can go back to the way they were. Trust is broken. It will take a long time to rebuild. What do we do? Bernadette asked through her tears. You start by being honest, completely honest. Tell me about your struggles. Tell me why you felt stealing from me was the only option. Tell me everything you have been hiding. And they did. Over the next 3 hours, my children poured out their hearts. Reginald talked about his failing marriage long before Monica entered his life, about the bad investments that had wiped out his savings, about the pressure he felt to maintain the appearance of success. Bernadette talked about Jerome's business failure, about the mounting debts, about the shame of losing everything they had worked for. Franklin talked about losing his job, about the depression that had consumed him, about feeling like a failure in a family of achievers. They talked about Monica, about how she had exploited their vulnerabilities, how she had manipulated them into believing that taking my money was justified, how she had isolated Reginald from the family and controlled him for years. By the end, I understood them better. I did not excuse what they had done, but I understood. Why did you not come to me? I asked. Why did you not ask for help? We were ashamed, Franklin said quietly. You raised us to be strong, independent, successful. Admitting that we failed felt like letting you down. So instead, you chose to betray me. How is that better? It is not. It was stupid. We were stupid. You were not stupid. You were desperate, and desperation makes people do terrible things. I sighed heavily. Here is what is going to happen. I am going to help you, all of you. I am going to help you get out of debt, get back on your feet, rebuild your lives. Mama, you do not have to. I know I do not have to, but I am choosing to. Because despite everything, you are still my children, and I still love you. Bernadette broke down completely, sobbing into her hands. But there are conditions, I continued. You will be completely transparent with me about your finances. You will not make any major decisions without consulting me, and you will earn back my trust through actions, not words. Whatever you need, Mama, Franklin said. Whatever it takes. And Reginald, I turned to my oldest son. You have the hardest road ahead. You married a monster. You were part of her scheme even if you did not know the full extent. You will face legal consequences, and you will have to live with what almost happened. Reginald nodded, his face wet with tears. I know, Mama, I know. But I believe you can come back from this. I believe you can be the man I raised you to be. The question is, do you believe it? He looked at me for the first time since the morning began. I want to try, Mama. I want to try so badly. Then that is where we start. The weeks that followed were difficult but healing. Monica was charged with conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and a host of other crimes. As the investigation expanded, more victims came forward. Men whose deaths had been ruled natural causes were now being re-examined. Families who had lost loved ones and fortunes were finally getting answers. The FBI estimated that Monica had stolen over $12 million across 15 years. She had left a trail of broken families and suspicious deaths in her wake. She was denied bail and would stand trial in multiple states. Legal experts predicted she would spend the rest of her life in prison. Victor Sullivan, her accomplice, pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. His testimony helped build the case against Monica. And Reginald, he cooperated fully with the investigation. He provided every piece of evidence he had. He testified against his own wife. The district attorney, recognizing his cooperation and his genuine remorse, agreed to drop the fraud charges in exchange for community service and restitution. It was not nothing, but it was less than he deserved, and it gave him a chance to start over. 6 months later, I celebrated my 71st birthday. The party was smaller this time, just family, Magnolia, Bernadette and Jerome, Franklin and Simone, Reginald alone but healing. We gathered in my living room, the same room where so much drama had unfolded, but now it felt different, lighter. The shadows of that terrible weekend had finally begun to fade. "Before we cut the cake," I said, standing before my family, "I want to say something." Everyone fell silent. A year ago, I overheard my children planning to steal from me. I heard every word, and it broke my heart. I paused, gathering my emotions. But what happened after, the revelations, the confrontations, the near tragedy, it also brought us closer together. It forced us to be honest with each other, to face the things we had been hiding. I looked at each of my children. I will not pretend that everything is perfect. Trust is still being rebuilt, wounds are still healing, but we are doing the work. We are showing up for each other, and that is what family is about. Magnolia raised her glass. To family, through good times and bad. To family, everyone echoed. After the party, when the guests had gone and the dishes were washed, I sat alone on my front porch. The evening air was cool and fragrant with spring blossoms. Stars were beginning to appear in the darkening sky. I thought about everything that had happened, the betrayal, the danger, the healing. A year ago, I had been naive, trusting, blind to the darkness in my own family. Now I was wiser, stronger, more cautious. But I was also more grateful. Grateful for my sister, who had dropped everything to protect me. Grateful for my children, who had ultimately chosen love over greed. Grateful for my own strength, which had carried me through the worst crisis of my life. I had almost lost everything, my home, my savings, my life. But I had not lost what mattered most, my family, my faith, my will to fight. And that was enough. If you are watching this story, I want you to understand something important. Family is complicated. The people who love us most can also hurt us the deepest. The ones we trust can betray us. The ones we raised can conspire against us. But family is also resilient. It can bend without breaking. It can heal from wounds that seem fatal. It can find its way back to love, even after terrible mistakes. On my 70th birthday, my children whispered a plan behind my back. They thought I could not hear them. They thought they were safe. But I heard every word. And what I heard changed everything. It nearly destroyed us, but ultimately, it saved us. It forced us to confront the lies we had been living. It pushed us to become the family we were always meant to be. I am 71 years old now. I have lived through more than most people can imagine. And I have learned that the most important thing in life is not money or property or success. It is truth, honesty, the courage to face what is broken and work to fix it. My children tried to steal from me, but they also saved me. They turned against their schemes and stood beside me when it mattered most. That does not erase what they did, but it gives us a foundation to build on, a reason to hope, a chance to start again. Thank you for watching until the end. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for listening to my story. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to this channel. Press that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Press the like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment telling me where you are watching from. I want to know who is here with me. I want to see how big our family can grow. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Love your families, even when they make mistakes. Stand up for yourselves, even when it is hard. And never stop believing that healing is possible. Because it is, for all of us.